Hello, all you beautiful drywall. Did I say drywall? I meant plaster people. Hello, all you plaster people, and welcome to an authentic episode of the Drywall Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Harmon. With us today, we have an innovator in the plaster space. Jeremy Mistretta of New Age Artisans joins us from Bozeman, Montana. And he is on the show for the first time. We have a fantastic conversation. We quickly find out we have much more in common than just fancy walls. And this conversation moves across a broad spectrum of topics, from music to Morocco, and why he just came back from there.
There's a company called the Atlas Cultural Foundation, and they were originally based out of Bozeman, Montana, where I live.
Okay.
And there's a board, and they have a worldwide board. And essentially what they do is they work with Moroccans to restore their culture based on government guidelines and restore their community. So they work in accordance with government guidelines. And there's a woman, Chloe, that used to live here. Chloe Erickson is her name. And she lives over in France now. And she and a woman named Susie Dawkins started the Atlas Cultural Foundation. And there's a particular type of plaster called Tadelakt. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have done an incredible amount of Tadelakt.
Okay.
And it kind of got to the point where people were calling so much to learn how to do Tadelakt that we created a class that was entirely surrounded around Tadelakt.
We get into the chemistry of plaster and the speciality of Tadelakt, and how Jeremy built New Age Artisans from just a fledgling painting company out of Bozeman into the monster that he is today. We discuss his relationship to the folks at American Clay, and how he may have been inspired at one point by a special person to clean up his act. Jeremy is a fantastic individual, and we have a lot to unpack in this episode of the Drywall Podcast. I would like to extend a huge shout out to Tadelakt for sponsoring the month of May on the Drywall Podcast. It's because of sponsors like them that I get to bring you awesome individuals like Jeremy and more. Today we are focusing on a little product that Tadelakt calls the T-Rax. The T-RAXX is a 14-piece system that is built for versatility. You can take it from the shop to the van to the job site without missing a beat. It includes racks, trays, clamps, and mounting rails to securely hold your large and small ATF tools, with dedicated space for your drills, lubricants, and cleaning accessories. Everything stays organized in the T-Rax, upright and ready to work. This system transforms how finishers transport and use their tools. No matter what brand you're using, Tadelakt Level 5, Columbia, Drywall, Masters, Ames, it's all compatible. The T-Rax is exclusive to Tadelakt and available through Ames, Allwall, and West Tech. The rack system retails for just $149.99. And when paired with the stack pack boxes, you've got the most customizable pro-grade storage solution on the market. It's cool. Head over to their social media pages and check it out if you haven't yet. I've been thinking about asking the folks over at Tadelakt if we can give one or two of these badass systems away. I will get back to you on that on social media. Look for more information on the Drywall Podcast Instagram page. But for now, Jeremy Mistretta on the 132nd episode of the Drywall Podcast. Let's get into it. Hello. Good morning.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. Why is it not coming through? How come it's not on me? I gotta turn them on.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Turn them on, man. Nice. Yeah, sorry about that. It showed up in my email as a Google Meet.
There you are. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, good. What was that? You said something.
It showed up in my email as Google Meet.
Weird.
I don't know, but we're here.
The miracle,
we're here now.
the miracle of computers.
That's right. Yeah.
Tell me if I'm pronouncing this wrong. Mistretta.
There you go. Perfect. Nailed it.
Okay. All right. Because I did read where you're an English lit major, so I'm going to be extra conscious of my grammar and pronunciation. Pronunciation.
Pronunciation of pronunciation. That's awful nice of you. It's just me, so don't worry.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. We're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, man.
You're pretty thick. You've got a lot going on, and one departure from our normal drywall podcast is that you're not necessarily a drywaller. So that'll be kind of interesting. But you are a plasterer, and there's crossover with fresco harmony, plaster, drywall, all of that. So we're gonna have a good show.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. Yeah.
Had you heard of the Drywall Podcast outside of Drywall Shorty?
No, at least I don't think so, or it didn't register with me. I just happened to be, I'm friends with Lydia. I've known her since before she was Drywall Shorty.
Yeah.
Known her quite a long time, 20 something years almost. And I just, the algorithm provides. And one day it just popped up on there and I kind of looked at it and I sent it to Brianna. I said, hey, check this out. And she said, yeah, that sounds good. I'll reach out. So
excellent.
Yeah.
And you are a podcaster. You have a podcast called The Aggregate. You've got a little sign there above you. And you've been doing The Aggregate for a little while. How many shows do you have?
Yeah, so we just finished our second season in The Aggregate. We have 26 episodes the first season and 25 the second.
Nice. You crossed over the 50 mark. That's a milestone.
Yeah. It felt really great. I think both seasons, when I finished, I was really happy that our guests were interesting because it gave me that, oomph to push over that finish line. But both seasons, by the time I was done, I'm like, this is exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping this going. And I don't know. I mean, this is just like this little podcast that, a couple hundred people listen to. And I think of like what it must be like to be like one of these like rock and roll stars or something like that, that like sits there and has to perform every night for these people.
Yeah, but the rock and roll stars, like they've got a team. You've got kind of a team too. Like I'm a little jealous. I do it all. Like I edit it. Nobody touches any aspect of my podcast.
It's all on you, which is good and bad.
It is because like I'm like anal about like editing, and then I've gotten into like the marketing, sort of the monetization with like sponsorship and things like that, and that's actually a lot of fun from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, and that is one place where we would like to go with some sponsorships, but we just haven't, so many irons in the fire. We haven't jumped on it just yet.
Yeah. Do you monetize because you are with, I should introduce Jeremy Mistretta of New Age Artisans on the Drywall Podcast, episode 132. Shout out. What was I going to say now? Now I forgot. Do you monetize in other ways like YouTube or, because I suck at that too. You got YouTube, you got the influencers, they're out there, they're doing stuff, they're monetizing. Because they show commercials on my YouTube page, and I'm like, F that, dude. I should be getting some kickback from that. But then I don't put any effort into it. So you have like a tech person. Is that part of their resp? Is it Corey?
There's Brianne. We have three people that kind of fall into the tech world. We have
Okay.
Brianna. She's our marketing. She's our creative director.
Right.
Then we have Vincent, who wears many
Okay.
hats at the company. But Vincent's my right hand man. He's what I call the man on the boards with our podcast. He does all the editing of the
Okay.
podcast. And
Vincent.
then, yep. And then we have Carl, who is our amazing videographer and our photographer, in-house person.
So you got Carl
And
and Vincent. They're crushing it. They can work
they're
together and just produce.
absolutely crushing. They
Yeah.
work. They work
Yeah.
3 feet from each other, 40 hours a week.
And I'll say this too, if you haven't gone and just perused or checked out New Age Artisans or the Aggregate, I assume you have two different Instagram, Facebook pages, like all of that.
You know what? It's funny. A lot of people ask that. We're under one umbrella. It's just at New Age Artisans.
Done.
And
Okay.
yeah, keep it simple.
But if you're listening and you go over to New Age Artisans platforms, the videography is exceptional. Like, and I don't say that lightly. I look at a lot of different. I'm always critiquing. You call it judging. We all judge.
Yeah,
But you guys
sure.
do an you guys do an awesome job. All right, Montana. Now you went to Montana for college, but let's back up even before then. Where are you from?
Originally, I'm from a little town called Madison, Connecticut, which
Okay.
is, if you're familiar with Connecticut at all, it's on the down on the southern shoreline, kind of near New Haven. New Haven would be the larger metropolitan area.
Yeah, Van Halen and New Haven. That's what it makes me think of. I think they had a live album, Van Hagar, but it was
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We were
yeah.
New Haven's kind of known for like Yale College is there,
Okay.
and it's got this little underground club called Toad's Place that all sorts of people have played at Toad's Place, like
Okay.
the Doors have like a big album. You know the song "Peace Frog" by the Doors.
I'm
It's
sure
like
I do.
blood in the streets of
I'm a,
downtown Chicago,
yeah,
blood on the rise. Yeah, they've got it. Blood in the streets in the town of New Haven.
they do. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Um, yeah, the Doors.
yeah.
You know, I wouldn't say I'm like a crazy Doors fan, but I like the Doors. I think Jim Morrison was a pretty exceptional poet. He's no Bob Dylan, but like he was good.
Totally. Similar crossover, I think, but Bob Dylan more cut from the Americana world, and Jim Morrison, I'd say,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
pivotal counterculture
Yeah.
character.
Yeah. Which movie would you prefer if you had a choice, or which was better? The newest Bob Dylan movie that came out with that one character, I can't remember his name right now, or Jim Morrison,
Uh,
Val Kilmer.
Val
That
Kilmer, or what's his Chalamet, Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Timothy. His last name's Chalamet. I know that.
Yeah.
Um,
Fantastic. He's a fantastic actor, you know.
oh yeah, unbelievable. I've seen them both. I haven't seen the Doors one in quite a while. I thought that Val Kilmer did a great job acting as Jim Morrison. Nailed
Yeah.
it. I would probably say that I enjoyed the Bob Dylan one more. I
It's
think
pretty
it spoke
enjoyable.
to me more. It was really, I love the storyline behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know exactly how accurate it is versus
Right.
what really occurred,
Sure.
but I did really like it, and I liked how it touched on that kind of bromance between him and Johnny Cash, which I did know about. Um,
I did not know about that, so that was cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I knew about the Joan Baez thing, but I
Yes.
was unfamiliar about the Woody Guthrie interaction.
Oh, I knew that. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was a big Woody Guthrie, and I've even gotten into Woody Guthrie a little bit, but you can
yeah,
hear you. I mean, very it's like a direct rip off of Woody Guthrie. You know, Bob Dylan.
yeah,
You really
yeah,
listen.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like Goose versus Fish. I don't know if you listen to
Another
those
fun
guys.
fact about Bob Dylan that I brought up with my girlfriend was he did a radio show on like Sirius, or it was called Dreams, Schemes, and Themes with your host, Bob Dylan. And it's phenomenal. It's a
Oh, nice.
phenomenal radio show. So he goes into like the deep, deep vault of all of these weird, influential musicians. And he weaves together a theme of like, today we're talking about cats. And it's the whole like radio program is about musicians that influenced him and that were influential like back in the day, but it's all themed around cats. It's so weird and it's phenomenal. Like you can look it up
Yeah,
and
is that on like Deep Tracks or something?
I think it was like Deep Tracks, but it was like its own. It might have been on Deep Tracks. They might have had a segment called Dreams, Schemes, and Themes with your host, Bob Dylan, but he hosted several shows and they're amazing. They're all amazing.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
cool. I'll check it out. Yeah, I listen to the Steve Earle one a lot on
Oh,
Outlaw
okay.
Country.
Yeah, yeah. Probably, you guys are probably, there's probably some parallels. I spent a little time in Colorado, but there's probably some like hippie parallels between Montana and Colorado. You got like this Fish, Grateful Dead sort of thing going, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you've pretty much nailed it. The thing about Montana though is a little bit different. Is it's kind of like the redneck hippie scene going on
Okay,
here.
you guys are a little more redneck. You got a little more redneck influence in there. Maybe you're bringing in
Yeah,
some, I can't think of it now. Not Bad
Jake
Company. No, I'm
Leonard,
thinking like Leonard Skinner.
Leonard Skinner, and
Skinner.
now it's like the new school guys out here that are really popular,
Who do we got?
Like Tyler Childers is
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
This Billy Strings character,
Billy Strings
like that guy's
character,
unreal.
he's unreal. He's actually playing here in August, and
Ah,
we're gonna go check him out. And I've been to like more Fish shows than I can probably admit, or
okay. Yeah.
even count. And everyone's like, "You got to check out Billy Strings. You got to check out Billy Strings." And I'm at the point now where I'm like, "All right, fine,
Yeah.
I'll check him
Whatever.
out. Yeah, let's go check him out." So he's playing here, and I'm like, "All right,
Yeah.
breakfast in bed. Let's go see."
I'm sure
But
he's great. I'm sure he's amazing.
yeah, I've heard it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was out of town, but Sturgill Simpson was just here a few weeks
Okay.
ago,
All
and a
right.
lot of people went to that. He kind of falls into that vein of
Yeah. You
Tyler
got
Childers.
Yonder Mountain, Widespread Panic, like that jam band sort of genre.
Exactly. Yep. Turnpike Troubadours.
I think that some of the Yonder Mountain String Band members were from Crested Butte. So yeah, they're just all jam bands over there. I'm not a huge fan of the Fish. I'm a huge Grateful Dead fan, but the Fish just I just feel like, and then I can't even listen to John Mayer and the Dead.
Oh, and the Dead and Co. Yeah.
Kudos and all of that. I just can't get it. He starts singing and I'm just like, damn.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
And the Dead was like way before my time. I was 13, and I was going to go to Giant Stadium to go see the Dead when I was 13 with my neighbors, and they're like, "You are not doing that. That's not happening."
Uh, oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. Bummer.
yeah, I know. So I missed it all.
I never saw the Dead either.
Yeah, I saw many iterations of the Dead, like Further and Rat Dog and all that stuff,
Right,
which
right.
is
Okay.
cool. Like Bob Weir, he's
Yeah.
incredible. But what
Yeah.
I did see 2 years ago at this little venue in Pine Creek, and I bet you would have liked it, was John Mayer and Bob Weir for a flood benefit,
Oh.
all acoustic, playing
Yeah.
all Dead songs for like 3 hours straight.
Nice. That would have
It
been
was
cool. I mean,
it was unbelievable.
don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sure John Mayer live is like extraordinary. He's an amazing guitarist. Like no
Yeah.
shame that I just don't like his voice for whatever reason. I just like
Yeah, that's fair, and especially if you're like so used to like listening to Jerry play and like the way that
Well,
Jerry would play, and then all of
yeah.
a sudden it's like it's like changing the flavor of your coffee. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is not how
Yeah.
this is supposed to taste. So I get
True.
it. It's fair. And
True.
not liking fish, also fair. Very
Sorry.
acquired taste. Oh no,
Yeah.
no offense taken. I get it. It's totally
The
fine. I
people,
felt,
they
yeah.
love fish. People love fish, man. They follow them around.
I'm one of those
Yeah.
people. I've been
All
doing it a
right.
long time, and I went to the Sphere.
Okay,
And
neat.
I know what songs they play every night when they're on tour. And I just got back. They did a big West Coast run,
Okay.
and this past spring, and we just got back from Morocco. And I kind of floated it by my wife that maybe we would like drop into some San Francisco shows, and
Okay.
that was met with maybe not approval in the marital avenue. So we did not do that.
Why?
Well, it's just like I got home, I was gone for 2 weeks, and then
Oh,
the
right.
notion of me returning from a 2 week work trip to then hop on a plane 48 hours later to go hang out with all my fish friends was like,
Morocco.
yeah,
Let's change gears. I could talk about music for 2 hours.
yeah,
Um,
understandable.
yeah, I've got like that's a silver tone there. I've got five guitars right there. It's got holds a special little place in my heart. But
Nice.
um, uh, walls. Like we're wall people.
Yeah.
And not only do we have exceptional taste in music, but we also have exceptional taste in walls. And we don't like the shit. You just got back from Morocco. Before we delve back into, we were in Connecticut. What were you doing in Morocco?
So Morocco was an interesting situation. We were there. There were 9 plasterers from around the
Okay.
world that
Okay.
all met in Marrakesh, and we all came together to recoat the walls of a 500-year-old mosque that
Okay.
got turned into a women and children's center. And this particular mosque suffered some devastating effects from the most recent earthquake. And
Okay.
we worked very closely with a company called the Atlas Cultural Foundation. And we all got together for a humanitarian effort to
Nice.
recoat the walls. And it
How,
was absolutely incredible experience.
how did you find out about this opportunity?
Yeah, so it's interesting. We kind of just made the opportunity, is what happened at the end of the
Okay.
day.
Cool.
There's a company called the Atlas Cultural Foundation, and they were originally based out of Bozeman, Montana, where I live.
Okay.
And there's a board, and they have a worldwide board. And essentially, what they do is they work with Moroccans to restore their culture based on government guidelines and restore their community. So they
Okay.
work in accordance with government guidelines. And there's a woman, Chloe, that used to live here. Chloe Erickson is her name. And she lives over in France now. And she and a woman named Susie Dawkins started the Atlas Cultural Foundation. And there's a particular type of plaster called Tadelakt. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's
Oh
a,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we have done an incredible amount of Tadelakt.
Okay.
And it kind of got to the point where people were calling so much to learn how to do Tadelakt
Yeah.
that we created a class that was entirely surrounded around Tadelakt.
Okay.
And that was kind of the inception of our plaster portal platform, which we could talk about later. But
Yeah.
it got to a juncture in life where we were selling so much Tadelakt and teaching people all over the world. And it seemed as if the root and the notion of what Tadelakt was being lost and almost like bastardized a little bit to me.
Okay.
Because, it's this ancient Moroccan technique, and this technique has been, brought over from Asia and the Middle East and then landed in Morocco. And Morocco has become very known for it because of the way in which they are treating their walls. And it felt to me like we were doing a pretty big disservice with the craft. So I kind of wanted to give back to the craft and to the
Okay.
country to the best of our ability. So we started donating a portion of our sales to the Atlas Cultural Foundation, which seemed like
Okay.
a really great full circle opportunity to create a product, celebrate a craft, celebrate a tradition, and then reinvest a small amount of profits back into something that was also giving back to the culture and the craft.
Okay.
So that occurred. We donated, thousands and thousands of dollars of sales went to those guys. And Chloe called me one day and she said, "This is amazing. Thank you so much. We're so happy. We would like to do a project." And I said, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And she said, "There's a town called Eagles, and it has a mosque, and the mosque has been affected badly. I would like to recoat the walls, and I would like to have a knowledge exchange, and I would like you, Mr. Jeremy, to be the person to figure out who gets invited and how we do this."
So you spearheaded this kind of
more or less.
It was her idea, but you pulled these 9 characters from around the globe. What was the criteria in Jeremy's mind to pick these elitist plasterers to go take part in this project?
Oh man, that's a good question, because
it was probably challenging because you know a lot of very good plaster people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great question.
And who got the most mad when you didn't invite them? No, I'm joking.
Another great question, because there were definitely some people that were a little upset that they didn't get invited.
Of course. And could you only have 9?
We could have, I think 12 was the max number.
Okay.
But I kind of sat there with my pen and paper for a few days, and I started jotting down names of people that I knew and people that I thought like checked a lot of boxes, and boxes that, the sum of all parts was greater than an individual.
Right, right.
So
this person's good with color. This person's a good applicator. This person mixes well. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People with trades. This person steeped from earth and plaster. This person has a large manufacturing business in Asia. This person is heavily tied into natural materials in South America. This person is steeped in original and authentic architecture in Europe. And I just started looking down the line. This person is very versed in insanely high-end construction in Canada. So it's like, to a degree, it was almost like ragtag group of plasterers that we all kind of got together, and several of us had met and several hadn't. And we all came together for 2 weeks. And the thing that was the most beautiful about it was that there just wasn't really one particular person that was overall in charge.
Okay.
It was just everybody, when they had their moment to shine, they just stepped out into the light and were able to offer their trade. And it was also amazing too, because each person individually was a leader in their own world, masters of their own universe. Yeah. And then to show up and you're involved in a group where you are not the leader, you just have to just kind of read the room and play the vibe that exists. And it was just to see all of these situations with people with, like 25-year age gap amongst all of us in the group, and to see everybody coexist and be such great friends, and everyone's job was just to make the person right next to them look that much better. It was just, it was incredible.
And you were the youngest at 33.
Yeah, 33. Thanks for noticing. Yeah, I was been the oldest. Actually.
You may have been the oldest. This is happening. You're 52. You're 52, correct?
45.
45. Why did I think 52? No, it was the guy that you interviewed on American Clay. He's 50.
Croft.
Yeah, I got it wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, Croft. Love Croft.
Croft. Yeah. Good interview.
Thank you. Yeah. So, I think Joey DiVenosa from Montreal, Quebec. I think him and I were the oldest.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And you had some young characters over there. I want to go back to the training. It sounds like a good time. Probably spend a lot of time in Morocco. The Tadelakt. So you were, and we will get back to the history, but I like these veins. You were doing the Tadelakt. You're making money. Two questions. Do the Tadelakt people reach out to you and be like, Jeremy, dude, you're schlepping a lot of Tadelakt. Like, we want to pay you to like schlep our wares. You're having these awesome trainings. The second question is, why do you feel that the product was getting bastardized? And also, who cares?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you think back to,
Like somebody
I guess,
wants Tadelakt for like 30 grand and they're happy with it. Somebody wants to go in and put it on the wall. Maybe they don't do the best job that they could possibly do, but it still works and the clients are happy. Who cares?
yeah, yeah, and potentially bastardized is maybe the
Harsh, maybe
wrong,
harsh.
yeah, yeah, maybe a harsh descriptor, blanket statement,
Okay.
but I would say more than anything, it was becoming this like ubiquitous term for all
Yeah.
sorts of plasters that were inside
Okay.
of showers in wet areas.
Okay.
And essentially, Tadelakt is a hydrophobic, it's not waterproof. It
Okay.
is a process, I think, more than it is a product.
Okay.
And there is a heavy scratch coat, and then there is a finer finish coat that gets laid up. And
Okay.
those finish coats are layered in a timely manner and then polished
Okay.
with olive oil soap.
Why olive oil soap? That's interesting.
Yeah, so the combination of the soap and the lime curing in a timely manner form this really fine layer of
Cool.
calcite over the surface that water, when essentially it hits it, it forms this little surf thing called the calcium stearate is what it's called, which is
Cool.
essentially like insanely beautiful soap scum.
Okay.
And water has a really rough time penetrating it.
This came from Morocco, this like systems technology.
Yes,
Chemistry, you could actually call it chemistry, but like these traditions came from Morocco.
correct. Yeah, probably
Okay.
2000 some years ago. And they
Okay.
came from northern Morocco, from
Okay.
the Berbers, which came over from Portugal and
Okay.
Spain. And the Berbers had no written language, just strictly all word of mouth. So this
Okay.
particular technique was just passed down locally from generation to
And
generation.
they had good taste.
They had amazing taste and they used what was in front of them. Like necessity
Yeah.
was the mother of invention, you
Yeah,
know,
there was no
and
Tadelakt store or new age artisan training that they could go to. They just had to like wing it,
they just
just
had to wing
try
it.
these different things. Yeah.
Exactly. And we were at the point where I kind of felt like plaster was getting used, it was going up in showers,
Okay.
and people were sealing it with acrylic sealer. That's
Okay.
beautiful. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that is called a plaster shower. It's not called a Tadelakt shower. So the
Okay.
term Tadelakt, which is an Arabic term, which comes from a verb delek, D-L-E-K, which means to rub, because you're actually like rubbing the walls with a stone in its authentic manner, closing all the pores, all the capillaries of the plaster. That is officially Tadelakt.
Okay.
And folks that have these beautiful lime plaster showers, or micro topping showers, which again are in their own right, they're absolutely beautiful. It's insane.
So my next question, I was going to go, okay, what's the difference between micro cement and Tadelakt? These are
Mm-hmm.
like the two that come up the most. I want a micro cement shower. I want a Tadelakt shower. Can you do a micro cement shower? Can you do a Tad? I just simply turn them down. I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and that's probably wise of you to not want to do it, because there's sometimes honestly where I wish, oh my God, how did I get involved in this?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
anytime you introduce water into a shower, into an area, you're just asking for a host of
yeah.
variables.
I've done some weird floor stuff with
Hmm.
epoxies, and that's a nightmare as well. I love doing
Yes.
art, playing with materials, but yeah, when you get into like floors or showers or whatever, exterior too, no thanks. Like,
Hard no on exterior
yeah, yeah,
for us.
stay
It's
inside.
just, you know, unless it's in an area like a highly arid area, you know,
Yeah,
desert
like
climates, like
cover.
sure.
Yeah, well, covered portal. Down here we'll do like the porch. Instead of tongue and groove, it's like, yeah, do fresco harmony. You can make it look good and probably save a little money on the tongue and groove. I can't imagine that's cheap.
No, no, never cheap. But it
Yeah.
just got to the point where I was feeling as if folks were coming to us saying, "I want Tadelakt," and we're there, and we're trying to honor a craft, and we're trying to honor a culture to a degree, because
Okay. Okay.
what's like,
A tradition.
yeah,
That's
and a
important.
tradition, yeah.
That's it. Why is that important to you in the plaster realm? Like, not only are you're just not going out and putting finishes on walls, it's important to you that these traditions are upheld in a manner which respects the craft. And
Hmm.
I mean, it might sound like a stupid question, but to me, it's not. Like, you also got to make money,
Yeah.
so that's a delicate balance.
Yep. And why is it important? I guess it's important to me because at the end of the day, as humans, I think all we really have is our authenticity.
Okay.
If you rewind the clock, there's so much like shit that just comes flinging at us left and right. So many things where we are just almost corralled into doing almost to a degree what we don't want to do. And to sit there and look back at history and be able to take these historical art forms and this historical craft and then bring them into present day, it's to a degree it's honoring those that came before you.
Okay.
And I feel like the wheel, and I could sit there and wax eloquent for, the
Yeah.
next 10 years on how I feel about it. But I just got to the point where I really just wanted to be the change that I wanted to see in the world. I was like, enough
Yeah.
BS. I work on all these houses all the time here in Southwest Montana where it's like, a couple $1,000s a square foot just to build these things. It's insane. I
Yeah.
was just like this. I need to just have something that like feels really good about
It's a
what I'm
good,
doing.
it's a excellent market where you're at. It's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah. And I'm super thankful that we're here because if I
Yeah.
wasn't here, I don't know if I'd be here talking to you right now about, the
Yeah.
tenets of being a good human because I wouldn't have the money behind me to be able to do it.
Yeah. New Mexico's tough. Uh, it's been tough, but there's different paths. There's different, you and I both share like screw, I'm gonna go do this thing. I'm not going to do a job.
Yeah.
I was like, playing around with color and joint comp. I was like, if I could do a wall, if I can get paid the same amount for that as I'm getting paid for drywall, well, I'm gonna go try and do,
Hmm.
like it's
Yeah.
very remedial. But that was 20 years ago, and the rest is history. You become what my friend said, unemployable. At a certain point, you cross over, and it's like, you know, I can't go back. You can't turn
Yeah.
back.
I'm heavily unemployable. I'm at the
Yeah.
point where it's like I'm just I'm a creature of my own reality. I've created it and
Yeah.
there's no getting out of it.
Speaking of history, let's go back to you came up in Connecticut, but then you moved to Montana. Was that when you decided to go to college?
Yeah, yep. So I
Okay.
went to Montana State University when I was 18 years old,
Okay.
right out of high school. Did the East Coast thing, had come out and visited many times with my family, you know, traveled around Yellowstone, went to Glacier Park, popped into
Hmm.
this little beautiful town called Bozeman. They're
Yeah.
small little ag town. And I thought, God, this is really fun. Everybody's here is really nice. It seems like a really relaxed way of living. It was kind of like lawless to a degree. And but there was like this order that just seemed to exist, like this unspoken ethical code book that existed. And I just thought, well, when I'm 18, this seems like a great place to move. So the choice was easy. And, you know, at that particular juncture with Montana State University, you didn't need much to get in. You know, a pulse would get you through the door.
Okay.
At that point in time. So I presented my pulse and was granted access to the freshman year of college.
And you're like, I'm gonna be an English lit major. I'm gonna become a professor of literature.
Yeah. I wasn't entirely sure. I just thought, you know, I essentially wanted to ski and fish and hunt and do all of these things. And I thought, this is a really nice, fun way where I can express myself and write some articles and stay active and stay busy. And I quickly learned that the price per word that you earn from doing any sort of periodical writing is, I mean, you have to be like a nationally syndicated author with bylines on everything to be able to be making money.
Well, it's just like anything, you have to love it. I mean, you could say that you could draw the same argument for specialty wall finishes. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't really recommend it. It's very difficult.
Very difficult. The minutia.
Probably more so than writing, if you really want to get honest, you know. But
the minutia that exists in our craft, where everything you have to do before you even make any money, it's insane in the wall finishing world.
Yeah. Well, just construction is driving. Not only is it such a really closed to innovation and new. It's not like Silicon Valley. This is like a really challenging industry, but then within that industry, now you're trying to push something that like takes longer. It's, you know, it's going to make the house more beautiful, but that's about the only sell you have. They don't give a shit about tradition. They're just like, how long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost me? You know, and, you know, bottom line, get the house done. Even the custom builders, I feel like they're still like, you know, let's get it done. Get it done.
That's all we work for is custom builders. And I tell everybody, I'm like, if I were going to come back in construction, I would do foundations. I would be an excavator or I would lay foundations.
Why?
They're the first ones there. The budget is just huge.
Oh,
and then nobody cares. Everyone's like, "Oh, we're so excited to get going. This is great. Yeah, dig the hole."
We're gonna need an extra. We're gonna need an extra 20 grand. Ran into a big boulder back here.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's just like it kind of just does this, and as it does this, the timeline starts shrinking, and the subs start funneling literally. That by the time you get there, the last month of the job is when we're in there. And
sorry, Jeremy, we can't do the plaster. We're just going to do a couple of accent walls instead.
Yeah, which kind of happens sometimes too. And honestly, when that happens, we're so busy. I'm just like, sweet, great, let's knock it out. But you know, they'll stack the plumbers in there, they'll stack the electricians in there, they'll stack the plasterers in there. And FYI, when you're done in this room, close the door because the cleaners are coming. And it's just like, what are you guys doing here? It just, I've learned to just breathe really deeply.
Yeah.
It all.
Yeah. Okay. So you make it through college, you get your bachelor's degree, I assume.
Yep. Got a bachelor's degree, English literature.
Okay.
And I just wasn't done having fun. I wanted to keep skiing. I wanted to keep fishing. I wanted to keep hunting. I wanted to keep partying. Like it was just like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here in Bozeman. All of my friends are still here in college.
Yeah.
Because hardly anybody graduated here in 4 years. I was like one of the few. And I'm like, no, this is great. And what can I do?
You find a plaster guy. Some plaster guys like, you can give me a hand if you want.
Yeah, yeah. Well, essentially, I became the plaster guy because I was started a painting business,
Okay.
and as I would in Connecticut, I was always restoring these colonial houses and scraping and sanding. And I thought, oh, this will just be easy. I'll just go for it. I'll do this. And I was 22 years
Good.
old.
Yeah.
I had no business doing what I was doing, and
Yeah.
started running these crews and started working on jobs that I had no business working on. I really didn't know what I was doing,
Yeah.
but fake it till you make it, just like I do
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
And I got really sick of painting. I thought it was just gross. I thought all of
Pretty boring.
the fumes, the boredom, the
Yeah.
the conversation, the monotony. It was
You
horrible.
can, hey, speak freely. We make fun of painters a lot on here. And if you're listening and you're a painter slash drywaller, it's okay. We love you.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it was not for me anymore. And then I started. I was always waiting for the drywallers to fix things. So then I started to learn how to just fix all the drywall so that I could cut and
Okay.
roll over the top or spray over the top of it. And I got
Yeah.
pretty good at that.
Okay.
And one day we were working on a remodel, and there was a bunch of old veneer plaster that was probably like 20 years old. It was Imperial color integrated drywall, or sorry, Imperial color integrated plaster. And they were tying drywall into it, and they had to just continue on with these runs. And they said,
Okay.
"Do you know how to do this?" And I said, "Yeah,"
Oh,
which
sure.
was which was a
Yeah.
lie because I
Yeah.
didn't. And I just put my nose to the grindstone, and I figured it out. And there was a lot of trial and error.
Didn't you just go to YouTube back in
This was
94?
all like, yeah, yeah, this was all before, well before any of that. And but yeah, I just you know, sick of painting. I didn't like drywall, and for some strange reason, the
No, no,
colors
there was
spoke to
the
me.
wall. There was the wall
Yeah,
where they were splicing in the drywall to the plaster, and you're like, "Don't worry, boss, I got it. I'm gonna take this wall all the way through."
yeah,
And you figured it out. It
figured it
didn't,
out.
and you liked it.
And I loved it. And I
You
got to the
loved it.
point where I became just obsessed, absolutely obsessed with it. And every moment I would just think about plaster. And it got to the point where like I was skipping powder days at Bridger Bowl to go to work, which is just crazy when you're
Yeah,
20, 24 years old at that point in time. I'd been painting for 2 years, and I was 24, and I was like, no, 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 I think I'm going to make a change. I think like
yeah.
maybe I don't need to ski 100 days a year. Maybe we can only do like 50 now.
100 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it
And
changes when you find when you something speaks to you that deeply. It does change. You it's not, and I hate the cliche that like, oh, if you find what you love, you won't work a day in your life, but it's true. I am excited to go to the studio this afternoon and make samples and ship off product. Like people asked me to go. I just had my buddy invited me to go on this trip in Tibet to like base camp. like we go backpacking a lot, not my friend from Crested Butte, but I have buddies that we go backpacking with. And like I'm just thinking like about work.
yeah,
And I'm 20 years deep and I'm still like just like, nah. The like my friends don't understand. They sell real estate or they do whatever they do to make money or one of my friends a GC, but it's like I don't want to go mountain biking today. I'm running this company. I have things to do and I enjoy doing those things. Like I'm in my 40s. I don't want to go skiing or, I do want to go skiing, but it's not my whole life. Backpacking is not my whole life. Mountain biking is not my whole life. Going to fish shows is not my whole life. I love this thing like
yeah,
that.
yep, yep. And then I was at the point where I'd be doing these things, and I would constantly be thinking about work and thinking about how can I do this better? How can we get these walls to be flatter? How can I get the color saturation deeper? How can I get the wall to be glossier? How can I extend the pot life of a plaster? And then on top of that, as I started gaining employees, how do I make these employees work for the same common goal that I'm working for?
Early on, though, was it challenging to get those jobs, man? Because plaster's a tough sell.
It was easy because people were just going out of the industry. There was really not many people that were doing it. And they're like, oh, there's this new young gun in town, Jeremy Mistretta, New Age Artisans is his company. He's 24 years old. And people just buried me with work.
Okay.
And I got to the point where it was like the school of hard knocks. Again, like I had no business dealing with this amount of money I was still growing up. I was wildly immature. And I just kind of figured it out because there really, at the time, as the clock kept ticking, there was really no other option other than to figure it out.
So you have this crew. What was the main plaster that you were doing at the time? Was it like a specific type, but you were expanding on this type of plaster?
Yeah. So we started with Imperial plaster, which is a gypsum-based plaster made by USG, United States Gypsum. It's great. It's insanely fast setting. So you mix it up. You got 45 minutes. Go. To get it on the wall, get all your tools cleaned up before the stuff sets. And if you don't have it immaculate, all the masking pulled, all your tools cleaned,
it's just hard as a rock.
You can have coral reef on your wall.
Beautiful. Okay.
And it's horrible. Then we segued into clay plaster with American Clay because American Clay seemed to be this new company. They were hitting the market. They were hitting their branding hard. They were hitting the marketing hard. And it was kind of this natural approach to this age-old technique of plaster. And I loved it. I loved the sense of community. I loved all the people that I met. I would fly down to Albuquerque for the training seminars. I got to meet Croft and Shaler and their whole team at American Clay. And I really felt like I had meaning, like I had purpose in the world. I wasn't just some like kid that was, the hippie from Montana that was skiing and hunting and fishing. And I was the hippie from Montana that was skiing and hunting and fishing. And to boot, he owns a business and he's a plaster guy. So it was a way in which I could facilitate this continued lifestyle. And there was a community around it that was celebrating what I was doing.
That community thing, that's a big deal. Like people don't.
It's a huge deal.
To me, that's what the Drywall podcast did. It was like I was like floating out in the ether like for so long. And as soon as the podcast started and I started to dig in with the drywallers, it was like community. That's the power of the podcast. I think that people don't, podcast is a lot of work, but at the end of the day, it's just such a community builder. It's like it brings people together.
Brings people together. It's like a focus group. It's like weekly AA meetings for people where they can all get together and listen and feel like somebody told me once on the Aggregate, they sent me a message and they're like, I just feel like we're all out here in the world and like we're not alone anymore.
Right.
We have you to like help us bring us together. And I'm like, that is beautiful. Thank you
a lot
so
of
much.
a lot of drywallers are in AA. So
yeah, a lot of plasterers are in AA, I get it. And I understand why. I totally understand.
Yeah. Well, coming from a ski town too, like I have 21 years clean and sober. So like, I speak freely about it on the podcast. I don't really give a shit. But, like it's becoming more vogue to be clean in today's day and age.
I agree. I have 3.5. It seems like a lot. It seems like so long, but it also seems like so short at the same time. And I look back at everything that I did when I was in my 20s and in my 30s, and I never really did anything like bad per se. Like I wasn't like the kind of guy that was gonna like chug a thing of whiskey and like run around naked or like drive a car or like cry. I wasn't that guy. I just felt like I wasn't necessarily doing anything good and I
Right.
wasn't being the best person that I could be. And then I
Love it.
had kids, and I got married, and I had kids, and my wife, like, she just puts her all into everything all the time. She's 110% all the time. And I was like, how can I be married to this woman, this go getter, and be at the point where, like, my presence could be considered a detraction to the overall success of our marriage? And it wasn't like she never said any of this. She really didn't.
No.
It was all just me, that I just like, the
Yeah,
alcohol is
but
killing me.
you had the new age artisans, and you're still crushing it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
She saw all that beauty in you, but I get it. Like at the same time, you're checking in here. You're probably hard on yourself. You're very focused and driven, and you're like, dude, this shit is doing me no good.
yeah. It's doing me
I need
no
to
good.
put it down, man.
And it was like,
And shout out to your wife real quick. What's her name?
Katie.
Kate. Shout out to Katie for inspiring Jeremy. You sound like quite a woman.
She's incredible. And I
Yeah.
tell everybody every day. Everyone says, "What do you like about marriage?" And I said, "Oh, it's very simple. What I love about my marriage is every day I wake up and my wife makes me a better person.
Love it.
Just for her, just being around, you know."
Love that.
And it's incredible. She's beautiful on the inside and out, and we've got two kids. And I just got to the point, like, if I'm going to sit here and I'm going to lead, I need to be a better example to the world,
Good
and
for
that
you.
starts with me. And I look back at everything with the alcohol, and I look back on, like, some of the fun drugs that I did, and
Sure.
I'm like, I'm not upset about it. I'm really not.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was awesome, actually. Like, really fun.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yes.
glad that I did that, because those give me the perspective to be in the present state that I'm in now, and be really happy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never left wondering, like, oh, I wish I had done that, or should have done that. It's like, no, I did that. That was cool.
Yeah.
But I'm here now.
Do you go to meetings? You don't we don't have to talk about this, or I can cut it out or
Oh
whatever.
no, yeah, talk about all you want. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
You
I do not.
you don't.
Never been. I feel like, for me, it wasn't that hard. I mean, it was
Okay.
hard. It was difficult, but I just woke up one day, and I just, like, looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, "You and I both know this is a bad deal, right?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yep, yep." And then I
Okay.
just, like, we're, yeah,
Crazy.
let's just be done. And it was just, I
Good
will
for you.
admit, there were 30 days where I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, I need some alcohol, like, bad. And
It's a game changer.
yeah, and there are definitely times where, a lot less than it used to be, where something heavy will come pounding on me, or
Yeah.
like a big, big stress will hit that is outside of the norm that usually exists in the world. And I'm like,
Yeah.
first thing I think about is, like,
Yeah.
God, I should get a beer. And I'm like, nope, 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 you don't do
Yeah.
that anymore. And so I just
Well, and
don't.
like fish shows and stuff, but they have like the wharf rats, right? Or whatever. The Grateful Dead had like a little clean community.
Yeah, yeah, yep. And the fish has that as well. And what that is called, I that I don't know
I can't remember.
about what that is called, but they have that community. They have, like, a flag, and everyone stands next to them.
I went to a rainbow gathering in Santa Fe National Forest,
Oh, bro,
and
you
they
can't be
had
making fun of fish shows. You're going to rainbow gatherings.
I'd heard of the rainbow gat, and I'm a hippie. I mean, tried and true, but like I'd heard of the rainbow gatherings, and I was like, and I had a couple of friends that were going. I was like, I'm gonna go check it out, and they had Serenity Ridge, TEA. So they made the clean camp made all the tea and the coffee for the entire gathering.
Yeah,
It was a cool experience. Santa Fe National Forest is extremely gorgeous too, if you ever get a chance. But we digress. You were very much uh, um, ambitious and successful at a young age. How did the the New Age Artisans become like so I guess it grew and then you started to maybe, oh, I could have workshops and I could teach people how to do that. How far into your business when you started doing that?
I was probably, we were about 18 or 19 years into it.
Okay, a
Um,
long time.
yeah, yeah, there was always the kind of this call for teach us, teach us, teach us. And early on, I did some teachings with American Clay. Um, but then I just focused way more on the contracting world because you could just, the faucet was just open all the time with money coming through it.
Okay.
And just a couple of years ago, I landed a job here that was megalithic,
Okay.
megalithic job, just a little shy of seven figures kind of job.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm super jealous of the volume. I mean, I've done a bunch now. Like I've done a bunch of but it's been such a slog to get frickin' work, man.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me jealous that I wasn't in like a little different area, or maybe I didn't market better, whatever. But a super jealous. Like that's awesome. Have that much
Yeah,
because it is good money. At the end of the day, if you can do, if you can get your price points right and you can do plaster. There's good money in it.
there's good money. And you get to the point of like how you price it and where you price it. And I tell folks a lot, like, don't swing for the fences. Like if
Right.
you're going to sit there and you're going to get up to bat and someone's going to pitch you the ball, the worst thing you can do at your first at bat is to try and hit a home run. Just get on base.
I
And then
like it.
next time get on base. Maybe hit a double. By the time you're done with your career, you're going to have this like crazy Derek Jeter sort of average that like
Right.
didn't really, and I don't even really know a lot about baseball, but I know
Yeah.
the basic rules. And it's like, you'd look at his average versus somebody like Mark McGuire that was just known to strike out all the time, but eventually he'd like hit home runs. And getting on base is so much more important because by the time you're done, you're going to have this bulk of money and it's going to come in a consistent manner. I don't know what it's like for you, but like the
Hmm.
worst thing for me is the lumpy cash flow. Like
Yeah.
keeping the money coming in a consistent manner, especially with employees that are needing checks every 2 weeks, having it
Yeah.
come in and he's like nothing, something, nothing,
Yeah. Yeah.
less than nothing, a lot,
You
half
talk
a lot.
about that on the American Clay podcast a
That's
little
right.
bit, and
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
very much relating. But I mean, I started developing a product, which is another really challenging animal, and just keeping it really lean. Like bootstrapping and guerrilla marketing.
Yeah. Yep.
It's so hard,
It's
but
so hard. And that was the same for us when we started because, we had our classes that we were teaching after the
sure.
umpteenth person that called. And
Yeah.
we started making a product that was going to come right from underneath our roof that we were able to sell, we were able to warranty, we were able to back it, and we were able to talk about it
So
because it was ours.
was this a partnership with American Clay? I was like fuzzy,
Oh,
or
good question.
was
Yeah,
this absolutely your product?
absolutely our product.
Okay,
Something that was entirely ours.
so you still had a relationship with American Clay, but like essentially you're making like maybe a competing product, or you saw what they
Mm-hmm.
were doing and you took some nuts and bolts from them. Was there static when you decided to do that, or was it
Mm,
all support?
I would say, maybe there was a little bit of static, but it was static from years past with like a little bit of headbutting over some distributorship that was occurring here. And then,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
segued away from clay plaster because for me and the business model that had kind of refined, it wasn't working for what I needed. I think it's
Okay.
absolutely beautiful. It's
Sure.
insane how awesome it was. The stuff works. I just couldn't do it at scale the way that we needed to
Right.
to produce. So we started working in lime plaster, And lime plaster, like a gypsum plaster, is very durable. It's hard, but it has the ease and workability of a clay plaster. So I kind
Okay.
of met the best of both worlds
Okay.
with with the lime plaster, and then we started
Cool.
manufacturing our own, and that's where, like you, I learned exactly how much money it takes to make a little bit of money. Like
Well,
that's
I'll
the one
say
thing.
here's
Yeah.
my business model was 10 years to just get the business, well, not 10, but like I would say 5 to 7 to where Fresco Harmony was just paying for itself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that, like I'm about 11 years in and like I'm almost making enough where I don't have to do walls.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we
It's
are not there. And I'm
labor of
also
love.
labor of love. Yeah. And I'm at the point now where I don't, for me, at least right now, I don't want to be there. You know, I really enjoy the contracting,
Okay,
to a degree. There's parts that I don't like,
sure.
but I have a crew that's thirsty and they're hungry and they're ready to put the material
Okay,
on the wall.
good.
So those guys take the lion's share of it, and I'm just outbidding jobs. I'm
Okay,
out two,
yeah.
3, 4 months, sometimes years bidding these projects.
Beauty is that you though have a really powerful foundation like for like and I have two businesses basically it's the services and it's the product manufacturing. So
Mm-hmm.
the services, yeah, that's what would pretty much fund. It sounds like that's what's happening in your case. But you have this fantastic model that's really helping, pump money into this product venture. Um, how long ago did you start the product venture of this whole scheme?
About 2 years ago, we
Okay, so
started
pretty
it.
very
Yeah,
recent.
very recent. Yeah, and we started. I leased a little warehouse, which is in Four Corners, which was outside of Bozeman by about 20 minutes on the way to Big Sky. And I thought, I will lease this space, 1,500 square feet. I'm going to get these raw materials. We're going to try this. Let's just go really lean. Let's see if this works. Let's see what
Yeah,
we can do at scale. And I set it up so that if it didn't work, I could just walk away. I could sell all the equipment. I
yeah,
could sell the
smart.
forklift. I could
Huh.
sell the trailer. I'd have some mortar mixers that I could, dump on Craigslist.
Like drywall, people in business swing for the fences, or not drywall, but like you're talking about the plaster.
Mm-hmm.
Like people in business do that too, and it's like you don't have to conquer the world. You can just keep it super lean. I think the slow scalability is, especially in the construction space, is pretty smart.
Yeah, slow is fast. And I just didn't want to ever put the contracting in jeopardy, because I knew that's what was going to sit and fund kind of
Smart.
these creative
Yeah.
endeavors.
Yeah.
Um, I said that out loud, and there were definitely times where I would definitely like hang it out over the edge a little bit because I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
But that's just part of my entrepreneurial spirit that I can't
Yeah.
make go away, even though I've tried.
Yeah.
But I just, I, I felt like I had this unique opportunity, and I knew if I didn't take a swing, that I would look back 10, 15 years from now, and I think, God, I wish I had done that. And I thought, let's just try. And if it doesn't work, at least you tried, and you can always go
Yeah.
back to contracting. So I knew the
Fantastic.
contracting was there. I knew that, I was going to invest 60, $100,000 into a
Okay.
startup. And I knew that I could get that back in material sales alone for us.
Okay. Just
So
because of the interest of the classes, basically, and
yeah,
the network that you've developed, you've got this like little network. You got these plaster people. You can push your product to them. Did you start approaching distributorship at that point?
no, we did not. Mostly because I feel like it's a little bit of a saturated market here in the States. I
Okay.
don't know what you're finding, but there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people that are doing very similar things with their plaster. And want to I didn't want to step on any toes. I've seen a lot of people in the past step on toes.
Sure.
And I just thought, we'll just deal with it all. I don't want to be reliant on a big store purchasing a bunch of our material. I think that we can just go direct to consumer right from our warehouse.
Okay. Smart.
So we deal with it all in-house.
Okay.
You know, it's 100% made
Beautiful.
by us. We're plasterers.
From China. You get it shipped in from China.
We get it shipped in from China. And we were talking to Donnie and we worked on the trade deal. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
If you're listening now, so any distributors though, no distributors, and you doubled down on e-commerce.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Smart.
Yep. And we have it all tied in 100% through our site.
Beautiful.
And we set up this site. There's the outward facing site called newageartisans.com. But then we have a paywall in place called the Plaster Portal. And in order to purchase the material, you have to be a Plaster Portal member, an active Plaster Portal member, which means you are part of our community. You have at the very least what's called a baseline membership.
Okay.
And that baseline membership gets you purchasing access to our plaster blends. It gets you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week support from us. There's just a calendar. You can go on, you can click, you can schedule a meeting.
Okay.
It gets you literature. It gets you access to our videos online and all sorts of other tips and tricks that live in the plaster world that you're not able to get anywhere else.
Okay.
Without some serious Google hunting.
Well, you don't have to oversell it. You know as well as I do the value of support.
Yes.
So you're offering a support, sort of a community membership. If I want to become a member and I sign up, what's like the fee? Is it monthly? Is it yearly?
It's yearly. It's $75 a year to become a Plaster Portal member. But it's part of a kind of a bigger picture because with the Tadelakt class, other folks that had these specialty niche finishes from around the world started to approach us and essentially ask for permission to do the same thing we were doing, kind of a code of honor. And, I was like, yeah, of course, why wouldn't you do that? And then it started to dawn on me that, well, wait, we've already have this platform. Why don't we bring these folks underneath our umbrella of New Age Artisans? So we have what's called the Artist Series as well, where folks are able to learn from specialty niche finishers from around the world. So we have Ancient Art of Tadelakt. We have In Cornice Situ, taught by a man in England, which is basically like you're able to run these beautiful ornate cornices and make these jigs. And it's taught by this, 40-year-old veteran of plaster named Philip Gacius. Then we have sculpture taught by this amazing, talented artist named Rebecca Gilling. We've just brought on Gabriel Franklin, who does the art of floral casting, where you take these beautiful botanicals and you make a clay mold and you take the inverse impression and you fill that with gypsum plaster and then pull it out and you have this amazing art piece that can hang on your wall. And our friend Lydia will be joining us this summer for drywall levels 1 through 5. So folks are able to learn specifically from her. And then we have a myriad of other plaster artists from around the world that's kind of my 10-year bucket list item to just keep traveling the world and bringing these folks on the platform.
I like it. Are you bringing on other products to sell with these new relationships?
Yeah, it's a good question. Currently,
And
no.
are you going full circle all the way around to American clay like I do?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's funny.
I'm sure you purchased enough American clay that you probably have a little bit of liberality there. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And there's like zero. There's zero hard feelings on any of it
Good.
with myself and Croft. It's great.
Yeah.
We're going after two different markets.
Good.
Um, Essentially, right now, all we have are QR codes
Okay.
where if there are products that are needed to be purchased, those are in the workbook with a QR code, and that'll bring you right to an Amazon
Okay.
storefront of ours where folks are able to kind of pick and choose kind of a la carte menu.
Okay.
There has been discussion with some other manufacturers to maybe get some sponsorship, some advertising that lives on the portal or lives inside the workbook, but
Okay.
we just haven't got there. I haven't pushed that yet, mostly
Yeah.
because I don't want it to cloud the overall purpose of what we're doing.
What do you want to achieve with all this? Mission
Good,
statement, so to speak.
good. That's a good question, buddy. Uh, I want to save the arts. I want to save the
Okay.
plaster arts.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like there's a big dearth in folks entering the trades, and there's a large influx of folks leaving the trades. And
Yeah.
if we don't capture these amazing techniques within one or two generations, I feel like they're going to become extinct or morphed so badly that they are small little caricatures of what they once were.
Sure. Sure. Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
having folks like Carl, folks like Brianna, folks like Vincent on our creative team that are just as passionate about it as I am, to be able to package it up in this beautiful artistic gift to the student that's just as beautiful as the craft itself, I think is something that will likely last and stand the test of time.
Um, Speaking of packaging, what are we talking about? If I become a Porthole member, I'm a decent plaster person. Maybe I've been to the training over there. I'm trying to bolster my plaster chops, and I want to buy new Age Artisan product. What products am I going to be purchasing? Uh,
Sure. Yeah. So you're probably most likely going to be purchasing our veneer blends, which
okay.
is the the most basic blend is our heritage blend, which is kind of a little larger aggregate base coat, and that's what goes up on the wall first. And
Okay.
then from there, you have our classic finish, which goes over the top of heritage, or refined
Okay.
finish, which goes over the top of our heritage. And
Okay.
it's just, it's a thinner veneer that's supposed to go up over a level 3 drywall. And it just gives you this beautiful plaster wall
Okay.
that has a shine and a wink to it that I think is unlike other finishes that are on the
Sure.
market.
Sure.
Albeit them also beautiful too.
I was going to ask what makes your veneer better than a USG or some of these other products on the market? What are you doing differently that like you feel like is
Yeah,
sets yours apart?
sure. Yeah, and I don't know if better is the term per se. I think it's just different would be the term. Different strokes for different folks. USG, their plaster is amazing. It looks so insanely beautiful, but the challenge is the accelerated pace in which it has to go up. And if it does get a ding in it, which they do sometimes, if it does crack, it's virtually impossible to repair without having to redo the entire wall. Whereas our plaster, we don't have any what's called pozzolans in them, which is something that'll kick a reaction. So all
You
of our
say
aggregates,
that word again?
pozzolan,
Puzzle.
Pozzolan, and
That's
that
what
comes from
creates a color difference on your patch. Yeah?
no, not no. The pozzolan is something that will be a catalyst for a reaction,
Okay.
and it's an additive. It's an aggregate that lives inside a plaster. And there's a lot of these other plasters that have acrylics in them or increased pozzolans that once you mix it up, you've got anywhere from a day to use it or a week to use it before it goes hard in the bucket. Our plaster carbonates through the absorption of carbon in the air, and it essentially dries more than it cures. So if you keep water on top of the bucket, once you mix up a color and you keep water on top of the bucket, it's not going to set inside the bucket. So 10 years from now, you can pull up one of our custom colors out of the bucket and put it on the wall and do a small repair.
Beautiful.
And it is just as good, if not better, than it was when you mix it up 10 years before.
Okay, that's a big deal. Sure.
Yeah, and that's something that I pulled out of American Clay's playbook.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, their repairability.
Yeah, because plaster going off in a bucket, well, there's nothing very green about throwing out half a bucket of material.
Yeah.
You know, or letting a 5-gallon bucket of paint sit in your garage and then having to throw it out. You're always going to have more material than you need so that you can complete the project. If I can keep that material and use it for samples or patching after the fact, well, that's a good deal.
Yeah, it's a good deal. Is your Fresco Harmony like that once you mix it up? Unlimited pot life?
Yeah.
Amazing.
All of the benefits of joint compound. So, longevity, but I'm experimenting more recently with preservatives to help it preserve. Because, also at the end of the day, whatever, if it gets moldy, who gives a shit? Throw it out and mix a new batch. That's the beauty of. But I don't like even owning the product. I don't like throwing out because I'm pretty efficient. Like in most of the things that I do, I try to be earth conscious and efficient. And if I don't have to mix up a bucket of mud and a color pack, then I'll keep the bucket. So a designer requested 15 samples. I was going to ask you about this too. 15 samples. So one thing that I do that's different is I don't send out samples. Like we have a color chart. I'm just like, there's no way I'm going to make a bunch of samples. And also, you need to make the damn sample. Like, if you can't make a sample, don't order the effing product.
I agree. Yeah.
I just told the designer that shit there in Pennsylvania, and I was like, makes me a little nervous. You got a drywall guy or a plaster person over there that can put this shit on? And will that plaster person be willing to put this shit on? Because that's the thing, too. She assured me she did. She wants 15 samples. And in a situation like that for a designer, so I've started to be like, okay, I charge her $10 a sample, but I'm quickly realizing, and I'll make little 8x10 so I can put them in a 1 rate because I'm also hyper efficient with shipping. But I get to go and making 15 samples. I still have 7 samples that were existing in my studio, that scrape the mold off the top, make the sample, I mean, maybe I wouldn't use it on a wall because it's got a little bit of bacteria in it, but it's fine for a sample. And then I'll have to make 7, but $10 a sample was not enough.
I was going to say we gotta up your price at $10. That's not
a lot. This is a new product for me too. So I never have done it, but I have one other person request 10 samples. And I'm like, well, just buy the color packs and make your own sample. But if somebody can buy a sample for, $15 even, and I'll use masonite as my backing. I like masonite.
Yeah,
it
works the
well.
Same way. And the sample.
So you charge more. You charge more for samples.
Yeah, we have we have something online where folks can click. They can link right up with our color specialist. We can match any color under the sun. And there's a little back and forth with the customer on, this is about what we think it's going to cost to match it. It'd take a couple hours. We have an hourly rate attached to it.
Okay.
Then,
I have a flat rate on custom colors, $125.
yep, yep, that sounds fair. Ours probably take I think on average we might just be a tick. We might be like 150 on a custom
Smart.
color. That's
Yeah,
like
I'm
on
too
average
low.
about what
I'm
it
still
costs.
too low. Fuck those custom
Yeah,
colors.
but
But
I
you
feel
have
like
you have a color like spectrum though that you
yeah.
offer. Okay.
We have a color spectrum that we offer. There's beautiful colors that folks can choose from. But if they want to go from something outside of that, we're happy to match it. But
Sure. Of
we
course.
charge $55 an actual sample,
Okay.
for a small little 6x6 sample that gets sent to them. And I
I'm
feel like
too Jeremy, I'm
$75,
too low. I'm too low,
you're
dude.
too low. And that's why they're asking you for 15 of them.
Yeah.
Because if it was $75, they wouldn't.
No, I can make
Yeah.
samples pretty quick, but nobody's asked for 15 yet, so I was like kind of caught off guard. And it's a pretty big ass house. I know which house she's talking about. If there's a large sale attached to it, then like okay, but like I get what you're saying.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's in Pennsylvania, so there's like some high end areas over there.
My friend Gabe works over there, I'm pretty sure. And I may know the house you're discussing. We can discuss offline.
Yeah, they want some Tadelakt too. I'm like, I'm happy to like, refer Tadelakt, but yeah, it's a small community. At the end of the day,
Hmm.
it's, I've known about American Clay for 20 years. It's like, I've been in the showroom.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I went into Santa Fe one time. I was actually looking for investment like early on. No clue I still don't have any clue what I'm doing, but like, I like talked to like this investor and they had already invested in American Clay. There was also a
Oh,
product, yeah, Webster Enterprise up there. They had, and there was another product out of Albuquerque called Variants. You've heard of those?
yeah, they're still around, variants. I
They
don't know a
sold,
lot about them, but I know
it's
they're
like
around.
acrylic. It's an acrylic product.
Yeah.
I dabbled with acrylics for a little while, but at the end of the day, my whole shtick is efficiency and affordability. But at the end of the day, the designer really liked the earthen. They're all going. It's all like coming back. Like I can't. I'll tell people I can't get the shiny. Like if you want shiny, go check out New Age Artisans website. I don't do it. And then I'm very like strict about like this is just all I do, which
Yeah.
I shoot myself in the foot. I turn down a lot of work, but
Well, I think if you just stay in your lane, there's really
yeah,
no reason if
yeah,
you're already cruising,
yeah,
going fine, couple miles an hour above the speed limit, getting there, good
yeah.
efficiency. Why would you decide to change and jar the movement?
Yeah, I would do a Tadelakt in my own house. I think it's pretty cool. We were in Tulum, and Tulum had plaster like in everywhere. Like the floor went up to like the counter, and it was all like
Yeah.
bulbous, like plaster. It was in the shower, and I was like, "That's so cool!" Like I love the look of it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We got involved in a very large project in Belize last summer. Similar look as well. Micro floors up to sinks
Cool.
made out of micro as well, and then every wall, 9,000 square feet of it was Tadelakt. That was our Tadelakt blend.
Love it. I was asking about like the specific products that you create.
Hmm.
You've got the veneer, and then
Yep.
you have a product that goes over the top.
Yeah. So it's all essentially veneer, thicker, larger aggregate, and you can use that for
Okay.
old school traditional lath and plaster, or you can use it for diamond lath. Um, that's beautiful. But for the most part, they're veneers. You're not building a crazy amount um, of gauge or depth with our plaster. And if you were wanting to do that, I'm just of the school of thought that I feel like I know so much about plaster that I would likely counsel you to use other products to build and then go off the top of it with our beautiful veneers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, like
And then
use a Structolite, an Imperial
okay.
or USG product, and then build our product on top of that. Because
Love
ours, if
I love Structolite. That
yeah,
stuff's
Structolite's
cool.
great. And if you're gonna use our lift coat, happily sell it. But I'm gonna tell everybody, like, look, at $110 a bag, 30 square feet a bag, like that's a lot of money. Happy to sell it to you, but as your friend, I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you, don't do this right now on
Yeah.
quantity. If you just want one or two bags, sure, no problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very cool. Any sealers? Do you guys provide any like sealers or anything?
Yeah, so all of the sealers that we have, essentially it's olive oil soap, and that comes
Okay.
with the
Cool.
soap combines with the free lime, very similar to Tadelakt. And we
What
actually
why do you call it soap?
soap because it is literally soap.
Really? Can you
Olive
clean your
oil
hands?
soap.
Can you
Oh
clean your
yeah,
hands?
yeah, yeah. It's olive oil soap concentrate that we actually every bag of New Age Artisans plaster gets sold. We kind of bookend the deal. We bookend it with our primary aggregate, which is
Okay.
our adhesive coat that gets added to a PVA primer to make the plaster stick. It's like your scratch coat. And the soap all comes with the price of a bag.
Can I get a little canister of the olive oil soap that I can keep in my bathroom? Do you make that
You
yet?
can. Yes, you
Yes.
can. However, you're going to have to, if you ordered the bag of plaster, you would get the soap for free. If you haven't ordered a bag of plaster, we charge you for the soap.
I just want the soap.
You just want the soap? Yeah. Hop on. We'll set you up.
I want to throw some in my studio and try it out with the fresco. See how it goes. So I could put it and you're saying it does, but it might react differently to a drywall mud all purpose than it would to your veneer blends.
Yeah. So if you were going to use our soap over the top of it, you would likely only use it in concentrated form. Remember when you were a kid, like go to the grocery store and there's all the vending machines, you put the quarter in, you like get the slime that comes out in like the little
Yes.
plastic container. That's what our soap looks like.
Oh my God.
It's this gooey slime. Yeah.
Lo-
So
I,
you have to
now
add
I'm
that with some
now I'm
relative
really
amount of water.
I'm interested now. Is the only
Yeah.
problem I would think of though with an oil is the discoloration though. Like it's going to really discolor that surface.
It will definitely discolor that surface. So you're likely, and again, I learned that one the hard way. You're likely going to want to do a diluted soap over the top of that before you start bumping up the ratio of concentrate. So if you put it on and it kind of gets absorbed into the surface, that surface will become, I guess, quote unquote, stable and
Okay.
able to accept more soap. But if you just smacked right at it with the concentrated soap, yeah, it's going to be a blotchy nightmare.
Huh. Or if, I mean, if you were putting it on consistently, like it might blend
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yep, but you have to be married to that.
Because yeah, the water base doesn't discolor. The advantage I found with the not as much discoloration is the patchability. So keeping that surface less discolored. People want the
Mhm.
movement, I get that, but like it's almost like less is more. Have you found that with your sale? It's like people
Yeah,
want this grandiose, like shiny, busy Venetian plaster, and it's like no, 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 man, keep it chill.
keep it chill. Yeah, the whole notion of like these busy walls that are just
Yeah,
like got the living hell troweled out of them and like crazy depth and movement. Like that might
yeah,
be beautiful, I think, for like an accent wall.
yeah.
But when you walk in and you see this, they're just like hammered on with a trowel and you could like see a reflection.
I
It's
love
not
it.
for me. I try and just tell them like, just, yeah, like a nice subtle color with just a little bit of movement to it. Have all of your accoutrements shine up against this beautiful plaster. You don't need to make the plaster the main attraction.
Right. Well, we have a lot of parallels. I can tell that you and I would be good friends, and we could spend a lot of time talking about this stuff. You would probably enjoy seeing my studio, and I know that I would enjoy seeing yours.
Yeah, man, I'll come visit anytime. Anytime, and you can come visit here anytime. The door's
Um,
wide open.
I love it. We've got there's a Logan Davis out of Idaho that's a couple hours from that he does some fresco, but I've gotten to be friends with Kevin Bush out of Three Forks, Montana. He's been on the show a couple times. He used to be like a rep for Grabber. I'm in the drywall world, so it's a little different, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of cool people. There's a lot of people that want to do plasters. There's a lot of people that want to do Tadelakt. There's a lot of opportunity. And the more that I feel like we come together as a community, with drywall, plaster, painting, whoever, the better off we are, especially if you're selling a product. It's like,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
you got to let the ego down. Just love.
yeah, yeah. Let the ego down. Celebrate. Don't have her when they could be a collaborator.
Yeah.
And a rising tide at the end of the day is just going to float all boats.
I love it. And that segues into what I ask all of the people that come on the Drywall podcast is a pearl of wisdom that you could bestow on I say the drywall community, but the plaster community and beyond. If you could put something on a billboard, what would you say?
Only because we spoke about it earlier, I would say don't ask yourself how much you can charge for something. Ask yourself how little you can charge for something, and you'll have work for the rest of your life.
Smart.
It's a hard one to scratch your head on, but
yeah, I mean, do you want to elaborate?
yeah. So it's like kind of back to my, comparison of the Derek Jeter sort of situation with, him getting on base every time. It's like if you're going to swing for the fences, you're only going to get a few jobs every once in a while. But if you have a nice price that maybe isn't the most expensive and isn't the least expensive and is just right there, and you know your craft, you know your employees, you know your product, you can start running a machine that's going to provide for you every single day. But if you're north or south of that, you're going to be in a rough spot. So just kind of know that middle ground and know what people will pay for versus what they won't pay for, and just know your market.
Love it. Jeremy Mistretta out
right.
of Bozeman, Montana, New Age Artisans, and the Aggregate podcast. They are over 50 episodes in season 1, season 2. Which is pretty cool. I need to catch more episodes of that. The American Clay ones, that was interesting to me because they're like, I drive by their studio. I go out to work
neighbors.
They've been around for a long time. A lot of contractors here have used them. We went a little over, but this has been a fantastic conversation. We got to touch base offline. Yeah. Anything else that we missed that you want to add?
No, God, I feel like, at this point in time, just like I have with our podcast, I've become, by the end of it, talking to folks, I just get a new friend every time. Yeah. And, as they say in the movies, you had me at hello, Nick. So cool. Yeah.
I'm always started out, who is this douchebag? And then by the end, I'm like, oh my God, I love this guy.
Yeah, this dude's awesome. Let's go do something fun.
Yeah, let's go skiing.
Drag you to a fish show.
I would totally go to a fish show. We saw. Are you familiar with Shaky Graves?
Yeah. Yep.
So we saw Shaky Graves twice this year. Once in Taos, once in Santa Fe. Love Shaky Graves.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Yeah, so all that stuff. But I hope you have a fantastic day. You have an excellent team over there. I'll probably get in touch with some of them for like information. But I want to talk with you one-on-one more. I'm glad that this was fresh. I want to talk one-on-one more with you about about what you offer, things like that, so that I can steer people toward, that want to go in that direction. I'm always happy to refer people. So
anytime, man.
All right, sir. You have a good rest of your day, and we will talk soon.
Yes, talk soon, man.
All right, bye.
Thanks. All right, bye.
Huge shout out to Jeremy for joining us on the Drywall podcast today. I really, really appreciate your time and knowledge and openness about all of the cool plaster stuff, etc., etc., etc. I'm going to be getting in touch with you, sir, offline, and hopefully we can nurture this little friendship we got going. Guests of the Drywall podcast will receive a sweet swag bucket from our friends at CSR just for coming on the show. If you'd like more information about coming on the show, if you want to come on the show, if you'd like information about sponsorship or anything, if you have questions, you can reach out to me directly at info@frescoharmony.com. I always answer if I get an email or a phone call or anything like that. And I enjoy hearing from professionals in the industry for sure. Also, I'd like to give a huge shout out to our newest and best friends over at Tadelakt Tools for sponsoring this awesome content that you just listened to. They will be our sponsors throughout the month of May. And this month, they happen to be highlighting their newest member of their tool family, and a much needed member at that, a little tool called the T-Rack system. That's T-RAXX, and it's the first and only tool rack system made specifically for ATF tools. Your bazooka, your roller tools, all of that stuff. Kind of like a golf holder type thing. The T-Rax is exclusive to Tadelakt and available through Ames All-Wall West Tech. The rack system is $149.99, and when paired with the stack pack boxes, you've got the most customizable pro-grade storage solution on the market. It's exclusive to Tadelakt, but it holds any of your favorite tools like Columbia or Level 5 or any of that stuff. Bottom line, if you are carrying ATF tools, you should be carrying them with a T-Rax. Head over to their social media pages to find out more about this awesome system. I know you have a lot of listening options when you head over to that radio to turn something on during your workday. Maybe you're in the car driving to work. I don't know, but for whatever reason, today you chose to listen to Jeremy on the Drywall podcast, and I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you for doing that. I enjoy bringing these interviews to you, and it's only because you listen to them that I continue to do this. I hope you all have an amazing weekend out there in drywall or plaster world. And remember, keep on drywalling and plastering.